I'm Sally Knopp, a QHHT practitioner and energy healer. This is Miracles of Consciousness Radio. Is instantaneous healing real? Let's get into it. Hello, superhumans. We are discussing Dolores Cannon's take on how the subconscious mind can instantaneously heal you, no matter what you're suffering. In fact, she witnessed people being cured of cancers, diabetes, even scoliosis. Oh yes, there's been quite a lot that she's done. And we're going to go through it step by step, so I will be referring to my notes because I don't want to miss a thing. Because you can do this at home. You just got to get tuned in. And we can help you do that through energy healing as well. But let's look. First of all, is it possible? Of course, Dolores would tell you, of course it's possible. And what she witnessed and what I've witnessed in my own practice, not to the extent that she has, but she had 40 years on me, and I've only been doing this for about 10. However, she witnessed people being cured of cancer. She witnessed people being cured of diabetes and even scoliosis. If there is an ailment and there is a dis-ease, all she's telling you to do is get into the subconscious mind. And in the subconscious mind is all the answers. And we've talked about that before in other areas where everything is already encoded in your DNA. So I'm going to be referring to my notes because I don't want to miss a thing. This is way too important. Now, Dolores Cannon always worked with the subconscious mind. Remember, she separated out the two minds. There's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. I think we can all agree upon that. What she called the conscious mind was Mr. Stupid. Now, that is the area where after about 7 to 8 seconds, that first information that sort of pops into your mind up until then is the subconscious mind. But after that, the part where you're saying, wait a minute, let me think now. That is the conscious mind coming in and weighing in its opinion. Nothing wrong with that. We definitely need it. It's there for a reason. So we don't want to kick Mr. Stupid out too much. You just want to go more in depth into the subconscious mind if you're seeking healing. And it was quite powerful. So let me see. The one thing I want to be sure that I tell you is that she looked at the past lives as being sort of the key to ailments. And I've seen that, actually. There are past lives. Whether you believe in past lives or not is a bit irrelevant. The subconscious mind is placing that in some type of context. Whether it's an actual event that you experienced in a past life, which I personally believe in, or if it's more of a metaphor and a placement in time, just like dreams work. It doesn't really matter. It's getting into that space, trying to figure out what is the source causing this particular problem within me. And a lot of times we do find there is a past life energy, but it's not always stored in the physical body. So when you are working with a QHHT practitioner or energy healer, the one thing you want to be sure to ask is there a past life energy that is a source causing my illness or disease, or even depression for that matter? Or is it in my physical body, my spirit body? Is it in my mental body? Because we are multi-dimensional beings. So you definitely want to be asking your QHHT practitioner and energy healer. They're two separate things. So one hat is QHHT, the other hat is energy healer. Either one you choose to work with, be sure you ask those questions. Where is it located? The next thing you're going to want to know is, once you identify that source causing the illness or the imbalance, is there a reason for it to show up? Because what Dolores found, and I find it too, even in the energy healing aspect, that the subconscious mind needs to bring forward to the conscious mind. There needs to be a meeting of the minds. There needs to be a meeting of the minds to understand why you are holding on to this energy. Now, it's not always a past life energy. It could be something that took place in your own current life. It could be in this situation. The other thing it could also be an ancestor. So there could be some energy that's encoded into the DNA. Let's give an example. Dr. Bradley Nelson talks about miasms. Now, that's coming from a more of a religious standpoint, but it's not far off. Meaning, even Dr. Bruce Lipton and some others have suggested that thoughts and emotions can imprint wherever, in anything, and that includes the DNA. If your ancestor had gone through something traumatic or a severe illness and experienced that prior to his offspring or her offspring being created, that can be passed down through the genes. And in those genes, it can come down to you. The farthest I've ever gotten back was about 22 generations. It was crazy. But once that was released, once we understood the source of it, it's surprising how much the subconscious mind will begin to write the mind, the body, and the spirit. And when that takes place, then the body will heal itself. That's so important. But Dolores did talk about how past lives played a role in illnesses. But you don't want to get hung up on that. I do want to caution those of you who are seeking instantaneous healing. One, you have to engage in the process. And two, you want to make sure that you're not so focused that it is a past life that's creating it. Sometimes it's not. It, like I said, it can be ancestral energy. There could actually be curse energies, saboteur energies, hidden saboteur energies, self-saboteur. There can be a lot. So that's why you get with a QHHT practitioner and start to discover that, or you go to an energy healer who practices both. And why I say that is because Dolores Cannon, when she did her work, what she taught us was how to speak to the subconscious mind. And if you're not careful, if you do not talk to the subconscious mind in a way that it understands, because there is a way of doing it, it's like talking to a computer, then you're not going to get the right answer. When I was teaching somebody how to do energy healing and clearing, we got two separate answers. And I listened to her. I said, okay, now you're saying what I'm saying. You're repeating after me. Yes, okay. So let me go through it again, and you go through it again. At the end, she added an additional word. That additional word, when I tested it, created a completely different answer. So that is why it's so important that if you're going to go to an energy healer, make sure that they understand how to speak to the subconscious mind. It's a wild west out there. There's a lot of people say, oh, I speak to your guides and all this. Everything is not out here. The kingdom of heaven is within you. I keep saying it over and over. The answers are in you. The answers are in your DNA. The answers are in your own subconscious mind. And the key is to pull up that information from the subconscious mind. Now, the important part about, and let me kind of circle back to what I just said earlier. Dolores Cannon did believe that illnesses serves as a tool of spiritual growth. Now that's important because I have actually worked with somebody and I asked, is it time for this person to allow this energy to go? And the answer is no. And why is that? Because the person has not learned their spiritual lesson. Whatever that soul lesson was coming in, they still needed to make a connection to that. Now, what happens when you don't do that? Whatever situation you are in or dealing with will continue to magnify, 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 magnify until you make that connection. Let me give you an example, and I've used this before. Say, for example, you're depressed or you feel that life is hard or whatever. Your subconscious mind isn't talking English or Mandarin Chinese or whatever language. It's talking to you through your emotions, which are your compass in your body. Pay attention to your emotion. And then as your emotions begin to build in a negative way, it's going to affect the area of the body that is most vulnerable and or the weakest. And for example, people who are, say, depressed as an example, they may become more diabetic. They may become sugar imbalanced because in the subconscious mind, what it's telling you, it's trying to overcompensate and sweeten up your life. So the subconscious mind is using your body to communicate. So now we know that there can be problems with not only the kidneys, but the pancreas. So if you are having trouble with those areas, you might want to ask yourself, are you dealing with some level of depression, even anxiety, unworthiness, shame even? If there is something you are trying to sweeten your life about, then your subconscious mind will affect those areas of the body. So now we need to look at the healing, the vibrational healing. Now, according to Dolores Cannon, and I'm just looking at my notes because I have this written down. This is way too important to miss. According to Dolores Cannon, the human body is made of energy and vibration. We know everything is made of that. Like Nikola Tesla said, vibration, energy, and frequency. Those are the keys to the universe, and she will say that. So, your body is made up of energy and vibrations, and when misalignments or blocks occur, this energy will manifest as disease and discomfort. And that is because it disrupts the electromagnetic flow of the body. Now, Dolores also emphasized that the individual must believe in the possibility of healing, must give permission. Remember, for those Christians out there, remember when the woman touched the robe of Yeshua, and Yeshua felt the energy drain from him. So yes, there was an exchange of energy, but as he said, it was her faith that healed her. And I would add one step further to that. And it goes from belief and faith, but to knowing. When you know you can affect healing instantaneously, the only thing stopping you, as Dolores Cannon would say, is your belief it cannot take place. Healing will take place for those who know it will happen. But you've got to master your emotions. And if you have trapped emotional energies that Dr. Bradley Nelson talks about, this is what we do in our energy healing session, is remove those trapped emotional energies and get rid of those mental blocks that may even be hidden from you so that you can begin to now take upon yourself the ability to heal yourself. Again, say it every video I do. Go to my website, homepage, SallyKnott.com, and look at the cloud video where I am dissolving a cloud. And why that is important? It goes right back to this, how you can have instantaneous healing. When you know that you can dissolve a cloud through your own attention intention, it takes practice. You're not going to be able to do it the first time. It took me about 25 times to do it. It took some time, but once I got out of my own way, once I just honed in, I have this, that cloud is mine, I'm dissolving it. With that much determination, I dissolve the cloud. That is going to show you how powerful you are. This is why I call it Ignite the Superhuman in You and call you superhumans. You just may not be aware of it yet. So let's look at some of her spontaneous healing. Now, Dolores did document numerous examples of healing, and we have lots of those examples through her books. Again, go to Ozark Press. I will leave a link in the description box below for her books, and I suggest you get them if you're looking for spontaneous healing. You don't have to pay somebody $300 for a QHHT session. You just have to get your energy aligned right. I've done this for a lot of years, and you could come in and sit with somebody for 4 hours, pay them $300, $400 to do a QHHT session. Or what you can do is do what I did has learned how to create the healing within yourself. And even R.J. Spina. If you've not looked up R.J. Spina, you might want to look at that. He was determined to walk again when the doctor said he would never walk again. Again, it goes to that level of strength and determination, attention, intention, and knowing, not believing, knowing you can do it. And you do it through your mind, through visualization. But if there is fear and doubt, it will pull you back. And that's why we do energy healing and clear the blocks. So if you're wanting to try this at home and you want to start, check out my sessions. I do have a session that can get you started. We talk about it. $25 for 25 minutes. This isn't about that. So let's go on. Now, Dolores talks about chronic conditions are resolved. And she did have people who were healed from long-standing ailments like arthritis, migraines, back pains, because she took the client into understanding, was there an emotional or karmic root to that? Karmic root could be that if you didn't address it in prior lives, whatever that soul lesson is going to come through. And it's going to magnify until you say, get it, ding, 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 ding. The karmic is not punishment. And this is critical. Don't think karma is punishment. Karma is there to help you learn your lesson. So if you don't learn it, whatever it is you're dealing with will magnify and then oftentimes present in the physical body and create the chronic illness, including cancers. Now, when they've looked at cancers, overall, one of the things that we are finding in QHHT as well as energy healing is that you're dealing with anger or suppressed anger. Maybe you're somebody who feels like, well, I'm a positive person, but there's this undercurrent that's going on that is making you feel angry or resentful. And those things are what we find, energetically speaking, we're not talking toxins, that is a huge cause of cancers. Now, I'm going to sidestep this for just a second. If you are somebody who has cancer, or you know somebody with cancer, one of the things that I am finding as I do my research, and I'm just putting this out there, I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you what to do, but if I were you, I would be looking at ivermectin. So what I'm beginning to see pop up is that COVID-19 actually had a benefit, if you will, where a lot of people who had the illness, they tried ivermectin. And those people who had cancer found that their cancer had gone in complete remission. And that includes people who are at the end stage cancers. So again, I'm not a doctor, but all I'm doing is planting the seed for you to do your own research and ask your healthcare provider, is this something will it hurt to try it? Will it hurt to try it? That's where I would go with it. Talk to your doctor. Will it hurt to try it? Why not? Because what they're telling us is that it may be parasitical or it responds the same ways parasites do. So anyway, that's my sidestep. Just if you can, just ask your doctor, is it something that you can go ahead and try and just explore the possibility? Because I don't know. I'm just passing along information. All right. So with that said, the other thing when she was talking about tumors and cancers, she talked about how people experience tumors dissolving almost immediately. Now, I'm also going to point out when that takes place. You can visually see that take place. I will try to link that video at the end of this one, and it's on my website. Greg Braden, who's one of the greatest gurus in healing and the arts and all that, but he was in Milan giving a demonstration, and it's been 10, 15 years ago, and he brings up a video of somebody in China. They had a medicineless hospital in China. And there was a person with a tumor in the bladder, and it was really good size. And what they did was they brought in the ultrasound, and they took a picture of the tumor in the bladder. And then they froze it on one side of the screen. And then on the other side of the screen, they showed the bladder in real time. The next thing they brought in were 3 monks. And their intention was to dissolve the tumor in the bladder. Now remember, tie that back to the cloud. Doesn't matter if it's a cloud. It can be anything. You have to have attention, intention, focused attention and intention. And you can watch this tumor disappear in real time on that ultrasound. So I'll leave that video at the end of this video. So just click on that and go take a look at it. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. The other thing too that makes us sick is this emotional healing. Many of us have deep emotional wounds. We've experienced trauma. Many children, as a child, you may have experienced severe trauma. And these things will stem abuse, grief. When we connect into the higher self and get a greater understanding of why that took place, then you can begin to feel your own power. And then you can go in and remove it so it no longer has any hold on you whatsoever. This is the power of the subconscious mind. It is transformational. But if you are always in a place of fear and doubt, you will not have this experience. It is truly coming into alignment with your subconscious for full body healing. Now, the other thing that she will tell you is that healing is not always immediate. Now, when I've done energy healing, we do several appointments. One person that I worked with was close to 5 months, and she had pancreatic cancer, and her cancer went away. She was working with me. Was it the placebo effect because she knew it? Or was it my remote influence on her energetically? Does it matter? Or is what matters is the healing that takes place? So what we did was we worked with the emotions, getting the emotions out of the way. So those trapped emotional energies that can get balled up inside of us. For those who have dealt with anxiety, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe you had a little bit of anxiety, and over time it got so big you got to get medicated just to bring yourself down. That is trapped emotional energy, and we clear that doing this energy healing. So if you're somebody who deals with that, take advantage of that $25 for 25 minutes. We can do a lot with that. It won't, get you completely there, but you can learn how to do it yourself, and that's what's important. The important thing is to get you or somebody you love feeling a lot better. Now, the longest, I think it's about 5 months. When I do energy healing for people, it usually can be within, some people feel it right away, but it can be up to 10 days later. And that's pretty amazing, just having that conversation after the fact. And then sometimes up to 45 days later. But when somebody is really sick with the cancers and all of that, it does take longer. So but you have to engage in it. So when you have somebody that you're working with that is an energy healer and a QHHT practitioner, understand you may need to go back more than one time. And if you don't get control of your own thoughts, negative emotions and negative thoughts can take you right back to where you were. So you've really got to learn how to get into that ninja mind, but it's not as hard as you think. We have some very simple techniques that we can teach you that will get everything sort of rewired in the brain to get it working a whole lot better. We've had a lot of success with it. Now, Dolores says not everyone will be healed. Now, I have actually encountered that a few times, but not very often. Most of the time, there's healing. Most of the time, it's old stuff that has already been dealt with that it's just gunking up the engine, and we can let it go. But Dolores did acknowledge that not all ailments are meant to be healed, as some illnesses serve as a higher purpose for the individual's spiritual journey. So remember, if at the very beginning of the video I said, sometimes you're not able to let it go because a person hasn't learned whatever soul lesson that they needed. Or, now here's the other caveat. This is so interesting and what I remember Dolores saying in class. And that was sometimes the individual who is ill isn't here to experience or learn anything for themselves, but to teach somebody else something. So, say you have somebody who's suffering tremendously, and maybe a disease that is going to eventually end their lives. In some cases, these souls have come into the world to experience this not for themselves, but to expand the spirituality, the soul of the individuals that are taking care of that individual. So this is why it's important not to judge, because you don't know what the higher self that this soul has done. I would recommend you can do a soul-to-soul conversation and find out quite a bit of information and how that soul wants to be treated. So, and maybe they're not able to articulate that. Something to think about. So, now in some cases, healing did not occur. The subconscious mind often explained that the illness was still necessary for the person's growth. So I just want to make sure I got that all out because I had some extra information there. So spontaneous healing is a natural result of addressing deeper truths within the self, whether through resolving past life traumas, understanding life lessons, or connecting with the subconscious mind. Healing, in Dolores' view, is more than physical. It's a holistic process involving the mind, body, and soul. The power for healing, Dolores believed, resides in each and every one of us. And that's true. We are encoded with self-healing. We don't know that. We're oftentimes taught to fear, fear, fear. Think about this. Here's a great example. Anita Morjani, for those of you who do not know her, look her up on YouTube. She does a TED Talk. Anita Morjani, M-O-O-R-J-A-N-I. She wrote a book, Dying to Be Me. Now, she had a friend who died of cancer, and she became very fearful. Oh my goodness, I'm going to die of cancer. I don't want that for myself. And so she began to watch what she eat, exercise, and do all this stuff. And then she ended up with lymphoma. How did she end up with lymphoma? Because she was being so careful to eat clean, to exercise, to do all the things holistically to make her well. So if she's doing everything she can to be well, how did she get this cancer? Because she feared getting cancer. That ties in with Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote the book, Biology of Belief. Fear is very powerful. She ends up at the end of her story, I think it was back in 2008, correct me if I'm wrong, but she had gone into a coma. And she left her body. She could see everything going on. She could read her mother's mind, her husband's mind. She could see her brother trying to get to her. Her body was shutting down. She was in this coma. The doctor said, get everybody together because she's in her last hours with end-stage lymphoma. She said she had glands the size of lemons and they were oozing. And she had lost a ton of weight down to maybe 90 pounds. I don't remember what. But that's why you go back and look at the story. It's really good. And then, while she's in the other realm, she encounters her father's essence. And she really got to the root. And there's a whole story behind that. It's so interesting. But at the end of the day, what made her sick was fear. If you are in a place of believing any fear-based religion, any fear-based anything, it is likely going to make you ill. So be very careful what you choose to engage with, because fear will destroy. It will make you sick. It will pull you down. But you are superhuman. And because you are superhuman, sometimes, like Dr. Bradley Nelson says, let's get rid of the trapped emotional energies. Let's get rid of the mental anchors, the blocks that stop you from doing your own healing. Let's get you understanding that you can, through your own power, heal yourself. And you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars to do it. It's not that hard. It's actually easier than you think. And one of my professors from Butler University, that's a client of mine, said we overthink things. And she said it's actually easier, but we are so conditioned to believe that everything has to be hard. And it's not. So, if you are ill, reach out to a QHHT practitioner or reach out to an energy healer and QHHT practitioner. If you can't find anybody, call me. I'm happy to help. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I love sharing miracles of consciousness because it is such a game changer. Your life can be abundant, happy, and prosperous and healthy. So, what are you waiting for? Why don't you reach out to somebody, me or like me, and let's get you started. Take care for now.